Boy, do I wish Norsca had Lord-level casters that could ride the Chaos War Shrine as a mount. Weirdly specific intro, I know, but here we are with a replay from Norsca. I actually haven't launched yet, but it was labeled as an all-timer from its current year, so we're bound for a good time. It is Norsca versus Vampire Counts. Very interesting matchup. Let's take a look at the builds here. We've got Throg and a couple of infantry jabs for anti-large. War Shrine Mammoth, which does provide a little bit of physical resistance in an AoE that stacks up to 20%, which is a decent amount, especially for a grindy fight against non-magical opponents, like most Vampire Counts troops are in melee. It will be quite effective. We've also got some Skin Wolves here, Armored Skin Wolves, for some additional anti-large. Looks like some more champs through the back line, and Marauders, just regular Marauders up front. As for the Vampire Counts, Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, and we've got two Corpse Carts, one Balefire, one regular. No Unholy Lodestone's definitely an interesting choice, but it is a choice. A couple of Graveguard Great Weapons, Skeleton Spears, Zombies up front, Blood Knights, triple Blood Knights. Very good in this matchup, due to the fact that Norsca doesn't have a ton of armor. Even their heavy units tend not to have the most armor, right? Champs coming in at a fat 80, and only 70 for the Mammoth. So that damage from the Blood Knights definitely can go into a lot of units here very effectively. But let's see, I like that banner, by the way. That's one of the cooler Norscan banners. Color scheme is kind of there. Of course, Musion is going to be the color scheme for the Vampire Counts, and we do get Blood Dragon standing in for the Red Duke. So let's see how this goes. Both players approaching patiently, not wanting to overcommit to an unfavorable engagement, but of course keeping alive infantry skirmishers can be very tough against Vampire Counts, or even keeping them online due to the Vampire Counts' abilities to summon. Lots of mobile units to potentially get in your backline. Here, there's not too many mobile units from Vampire Counts other than the heavy cavalry, which is quite a force to be reckoned with. I guess the Blood Dragon himself also fast attack unit that could potentially dive that back line, but that's one reason why Armored Skin Wolves is just kind of hanging around. This Lord of Metal Shaman Sorcerer, let's see what he's got. Yeah, Final Transmutation and Plague of Rust, so also looking to punish high value blobs of stuff. The War Shrine's going to start charging up its AoE ability here just by murking some zombies. It's already up to 1%. Does have to kill quite a few, but you can see there. Let's see if we can see when it ticks up to 2%. Yeah, so I think it's like maybe every 10 kills or so it ticks up, which means in most battles you're not realistically going to get up to the higher numbers, but we'll see. We'll check back in as the kill totals improve. It's going to go after the Graveguard Great Weapons there. Nice high value target. Meanwhile, Graveguard's here, hitting around, not really having the best contact, but zombies certainly getting in contact, and the Blood Knights threatening this backline here. We're going to get a nice monster cavalry engagement. Nice zombie summon and charge from the Blood Dragon to disrupt the charge of the Skin Wolves, countercharging into the Blood Knights, but they're still going to get quite a few models in on this, and it'll be a nice, bloody, brutal fight. Nice Plague of Rust as well. Helps the Skin Wolves trade much more effectively due to their non-AP damage, but overall they are definitely trading pretty badly here. Of course, Helm of Discord from the Dragon here. The Blood Dragon is going to significantly debuff the melee stats. The Skin Wolves already tear route. Javelins, though, throwing in just punishing volleys with that Plague of Rust especially. But on both of these targets, honestly, especially that one, though, that Blood Knight just gets burst down super quick. Throg also comes in, smashes the Blood Dragon in the teeth, and he is forced to pull back. So a nice engagement there. War Shrine Mammoth just grinding it out here. Again, not in a position to give its physical resistance to any other units, but it's only up to 4%. So, yeah, maybe not even every 10 kills or so. But here we go. Zombie summons in the back line, getting on those Marauder Hunters. As the Norscans set up a little bit of a defensive formation here to try and hold out and protect these few ranged units that they do have. They're going to be super important here. Did the one Blood Knight actually crumble? Nope, looks like they're still alive. Wheeling back around to try and reunify with their compatriots here. Blood Dragon healing himself back up. Just a single cast Invocation on Heck up in the air. And the zombie summons here trying to get cleaned out. But there we go. Now these Marauders can benefit a little bit from that physical resistance. Their own passive Rage gives them 10%, and then already 10%, huh, from this this one here. Interesting. I guess I don't understand how it works. Every X number of kills, because it's now 85 kills, but it's up to 10%. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Maybe one of you mathematists out there can figure it out. Another Plague of Rust here, though, with that Frostbite, too, from Throg is going to pin them pretty well in place, and they're going to get destroyed by Javelins. I don't think that unit's going to be able to survive, but let's see. Another Blood Knight unit comes hammering in. They're going to crush those Skin Wolves. The Champs, too, supporting in melee. It's very clutch. They are melee defense, and their armor helps them hold out in this type of engagement and just support much better. Nice Foul Transmutation, too. Hits just the Blood Knights. Unfortunately, the Dragon's able to outmaneuver that. He's going to come in and try and snipe that Shaman Sorcerer, but of course puts him into the physical resistance zone. And here comes the Mammoth. Oh yeah, Blood Dragon forced to flee from that engagement. Going to rear charge these Marauders here, try and terror route them away, and then immediately just flee from the Mammoth. But even as he does so, though, the Javelins get a few nice punishing volleys before getting lanced down by the Blood Knights. Finally free from Norsca's mobile units. They're able to land home. Do a lot of damage to these Javs. And Javs aren't quite finished off yet, though. They've still got a little bit of leadership left. And Throg, obviously, with the Frostbite, as mentioned, it's a significant speed debuff. 30% speed. So it makes the Blood Knights not able to disengage well at all from him. And especially now with the Mammoth backing him up, and kind of combo together, give Throg some of that sweet physical resistance. Throg doesn't actually have Enrage himself, does he? I don't think so. Yeah. So, anyway. Oh, yep. Blood Dragon comes down again. Plague of Rust on him. He's going to Terrify away one Javelin, summon a zombie on another, so shutting down that ranged fire. The Graveguard of Griffins just barely hanging on here. It would be really nice if that was an Unholy Lodestone Corpse card. It would probably end up enough keep them alive, honestly, or at least prevent them from dying. Yeah, they do pop there, unfortunately, leaving just the one left. We check in with the Vampires Elites. They've got one pretty healthy Blood Knight here, one completely healthy Blood Knight here, just crushing some Marauders on the charge. Blood Dragon's got about quarter HP for Norsca. Throg completely healthy, War Mammoth over half, and then plenty of Champs still feeling great as well. Yeah, over a little bit, actually under 3/4, but still. See how it plays out. Shutting down that Balefire Corpse card. It's going to be quite useful. Balefire, of course, does give fire, which is going to be generally quite useful against a lot of Norscan targets, but especially Throg himself. Like, if the Blood Dragon, Vampire Lord, and the Blood Knights were able to collapse Throg while he's chasing the Balefire Corpse card around, that could actually be quite dangerous. But this one here, this Giver of Glory, I believe it used to give melee attack and fire damage, if I remember correctly, but yeah, up to 20% physical resistance now, so I think, right? I'm reading this correctly? Yeah, so it's actually fully charged up at only 150 kills, less than 150 kills. So, interesting. I'll have to do some testing and see kind of how quickly that charges up, but 150 kills isn't super unrealistic, especially against vampire counts. You tend to have a lot of model count per army. These bloody Champs just holding out like champs. Fully surrounded here. But, of course, they've got Throg kicking these Graveguard around. And that physical resistance, of course, their own base, 10%, right? From that Rage goes up to 30 with the War Shrine. A very, very significant amount. Will it be enough to save them from a full health unit of Blood Knights, though? Man, they're not even heal capped yet. Ooh, Blood Dragon Vampire Lord's getting pretty close. Still has a little bit of healing space left, but pretty serious endgame force for the Vampire counts. Not to mention, this Blood Knight also has plenty of healing cap space left, so going to be tricky for Norsca. They're slightly ahead on the balance of power, but from a battlefield perspective, it's not looking spectacular, although Mammoth does provide even still like 8,600 HP, almost 8,700. Throg himself has about 8,000 HP as well, so there's quite a bit of HP to go around. Shaman Sorcerer being still alive helps somewhat. I don't know how much magic its current year has right now, but probably not much. We're going to see one zombie summon just to kind of isolate the Marauder Champion, set up a nice hammer and anvil. Vertical Breath Attack also gets its full damage into the Mammoths, and Blood Dragon's going to activate Helm of Discord and charge on down. Throg and the Mammoth should turn around and fight as one, and Throg's able to do so quite quickly. Apply that Frostbitten debuff. Sword of Antihero is also active here. Throg has stats being debuffed by Foe Seeker. Impacts him significantly, but he's got enough bonus versus large, especially with his charge bonus active. He can still get hits, no problem with that active. Get some more cinematics and then pull the health bars up in right now, actually. Just see how things are shaping up. Yeah, Mammoth is still about 6,000 HP. It is dropping pretty rapidly, though, as those Blood Knights cycle charge. Throg, oof, getting some really good hits on this Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. If the Lord goes down here, that will be a huge, huge loss. And if there's also a final transmutation, perhaps from Metal Sorcerer being saved up here, that could be quite impactful as well, just to help finish off some of this cavalry. But Throg being bogged down in the zombie is not ideal. Shaman Sorcerer gets bullied while waiting. And yeah, definitely suffering in terms of leadership. But there's the final transmutation. Does he get it off in time? Just barely gets it off before he gets terrified. And it's just a regular final transmutation, so it's not going to do an insane amount of damage, but it definitely will help. Puts the Blood Dragon down below half, or a quarter HP rather, well below half, obviously. But now it pretty much just comes down to Throg versus the Mammoth. The Mammoth kind of chased those Blood Knights a little bit far away, so now it is quite isolated. But that Breath Attack actually just did a lot of damage to that Corpse Cart. That was definitely not worth it. Probably should have lined up the angle so it wasn't, you know, facing potentially to the Corpse Cart, because, I mean, it probably would have died to Throg anyway, but that little bit of extra Vigor Mortis, the fact that the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord still is fresh, basically, it's a big part of that is because of the Corpse Cart and, of course, his own abilities. But, yeah, goodbye Corpse Cart. That is going to impact the prolonged melee stats here significantly. Another Helm of Discord being popped, but Blood Dragon Vampire Lord down below 500 HP. He's got to be really careful. Basically cannot land anywhere near Throg. Oh, and of course, as soon as I say that, he does. And let's see how that ends up costing him. You know what? We can see if he dies. Let's just pull up cinematic mode, get rid of the UI, and let's see if the Blood Dragon gets popped here. And he does. The Mammoth just cleaves him down. With that, will the vampire counts start having serious leadership issues is the question, or will the Blood Knights be able to hold out on their own? They're looking just fine right now, so let's fast forward a little bit through this endgame cycle charge. Those Blood Knights doing their best, although having the one Blood Knight kind of dedicate some time to killing the caster really wasn't worth it. I don't think the caster basically has no winds of magic left at this point, and yeah, it would have been much better served to just both be cycle charging. Eventually, they do get the Mammoth down, the War Shrine falls, and, I don't know, Throg against all these Blood Knights by himself, his leadership looking really low, and he routs. Vampire counts barely pull out the win there. Great job by Moore and by its current year both, honestly. It was an absolute battle, and love to see some Blood Knights there. Good old Bone Tonia prevailing in the end. The Blood Knights are just such a strong unit, even in their current iteration. Graveguard of Crippins also do a great job of paying for themselves. Zombies are an excellent meat shield. I'm actually pretty impressed by the War Shrine Mammoth also in this matchup, excuse me. It's yeah, something I'll have to look at a little bit more in these more melee-focused matchups. Especially this one, given, I mean, vampire counts can take some materials and some different stuff that has innate magic damage, but it's not generally a good idea, so physical resistance actually tends to be pretty good against them, believe it or not. And I think the War Shrine does show that in this particular battle. It also gets its own value just in damage, which is great. Throg does a great job also. Yeah, the Javelin's just insane value on them. Obviously, it's tough to keep them alive, but they're such a strong unit. Champs didn't quite pay for themselves. High kill totals on all the infantry is to be expected, fighting lots of zombies and stuff, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.